and today we have our Halloween special episode, and celebrating it with me is the Goddess Collective. Whee!
That's what it's
saying the sound right now.
That sounds like a yawn. A harmony. Oh my god, that's how we should do it.
Today's topic is revolutionary witchcraft, or Wicca as a form of Femme resistance, or witch work as radical feminism. This is the topic. We feel that, now that the veil is thinnest around Halloween or Samhain, which is the name of the holiday in Wicca, and it's one of the 4 main holidays in the year, we can actually take advantage of it and talk about how and why the ancient practices, right, and the respect for nature that women have always done are still the way for us to find our power back within patriarchy and shake it off if we can. So let me introduce you, in case you haven't listened to our previous Goddess Collective episode. My guests going around the table are Iyanna James-Stephenson, who is known as Iyanna the Model, and she's an all-around creative and muse and my dear friend. And she's currently working on a film about polyamory, fetish, self-love, based on her sexuality. So welcome again. And Jade Lilly, also known as Shoot Me Jade, that's her Insta. And she's the photographer par excellence of the Goddess Collective, videography. She's currently working on the Art Basel show for the collective. Please check out her Instagram. She's very, very talented. Welcome, Jade. And Gianna Auset is the jewelry designer for the line Sol 7. So she has a new collection coming out right now. Ready to come out, I guess. Yeah, and the Art Basel collection. And she's also working on a new project, which is a tropical edible community garden in Dyna Edyne. So that will be very exciting to go visit when it's ready. I'm so looking forward to it, and that's perfect for what we're talking about. Right? So welcome, Sol, Gianna. And Dyna Edyne is the songstress, and hey, she's a beautiful, magical voice, and she is going to perform at the Best Life Festival during Art Basel. So you can catch her there, and of course on Instagram. Okay, sweet. And the last missing here in spirit goddess, member of the collective, is Jasmine Nicole. She's a painter and a digital artist, and she's currently sending us her love to New York. So we miss you, Jasmine. So I wanted to say kind of like as a minor introduction to what we're talking about, that witchcraft, first of all, and magic, has been associated with like Satanism, which, by the way, is not even as scary as it sounds, because it kind of gives primacy to the serpent in the original Garden of Eden story, and the serpent was like the chthonic spirit who told Eve, "Hey, you can get knowledge, just there is no need to just be the rib that became a girl to make make Adam happy. You can gain the knowledge if you eat this apple, right?" So I feel like even the serpent is not scary or negative, just like Satan, the fallen angel, is the curious angel, the rebel angel, again, not scary. But within, the system that is prevalent around us, the dominant, culture, and the dominant language, all of these things, like magic, and, darkness, and the dark arts, and, the mystical, whatever, practices that we don't know about, are scary, when in fact they are ancient, pretty harmless, because they're all based on like do no harm. At least that's the motto for all Wicca and witchcraft. They involve like the old remedies for healing and curing, herbs, gardening, respecting the changes in nature, the seasons, the full moon, the new moon, like really basic stuff that we, especially in like this contemporary super urban world where we're consumed by social media, which is not quite real, right? We gain a lot from being conscious and respecting them. So like knowing what the moon is doing out there, right? Knowing what the earth is doing, what's seasonal, and kind of like having a sense of what our ancestors in the most ancient of times, before even like man, let's say, and what we call patriarchy, which is the system of like marriage and taking the guy's name and carrying his children and all that stuff, had come into being. That way of life was there, and that it's a way of living in harmony with our, brother and sister animals and the nature that we all come from and going back into it. So that's what we're going to discuss as a form of magical praxis, magical practice, which is grounded in nature, but also grounded politically. From a feminist political point of view, it's what, again, like the male establishment, the masculine, whatever you want to call it, the religious establishment, the political establishment, late capitalism, whatever you want to call it, they have not taken it over. I don't know how. I really don't know how, because they're so good at co-opting everything. But like they have not co-opted magic, because it's still like kind of underground. And maybe because it's also still a little like frightening, like sex. Right? So anyway, and I feel like there should be a resurgence if there isn't, right now. So do any of you want to speak to this?
I feel like the establishment that we're talking about, like that overarching establishment of just control, actually really does use magic. And this can be seen in the CVS or Walgreens symbol. It's a cauldron with magic and stars going into it. Or Disney, Mickey has a magic hat and a wand. And when you're watching Disney Channel, you're doing that magic wand. So magic has been used and still is being used in modern day. And it's just a lot of people aren't aware. But they say the most magical place on earth is Disney.
Right.
So they're literally telling us, or Macy's, it's the magic in you. All of these corporations and businesses have been using magic on us, and they've been telling us that magic is, bad, or that we shouldn't use it because they don't want us to truly tap into our power. And I feel like it's what you were saying in terms of the power is just in nature and being connected and knowing that connection. And then from there, everything else just opens up.
Right, yeah. And the ultimate magic is, of course, like birth, right?
Yeah.
That I feel like that's why it started as a women's practice, because like everyone respected the fact that like woman's body could make life.
Literally. Tap into another portal, a different dimension.
Yeah.
And that right there, it's magical.
Right, and that's the energy we try to tap into when we, call for like north, south, east, west, and create a circle,
right,
and pay respect.
I feel that. I feel like in the same way that we as women we're connected to the lunar cycle,
right?
And especially like usually
menstruate and food.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We
menstruate at the same time as like your girlfriends,
each other,
your roommates.
We're very connected. That oneness can be seen in that. And I think even in that, you cannot like have your period at all, but then as soon as you link up with your girls,
right.
you just see,
Yeah.
And I think that in itself is magic in the sense that we can really, in the same way that the moon has that control or that tide, where it can control the tides, we also have that with one another, in which we kind of, our energy affects each other, we have that connection. So, and I think that's important to realize too.
Yeah, and this, they say the Bible is made of water. I forget the percentage.
Sure,
70%. But I don't think, and again, magic is my science, right? So I feel that like what the general culture calls science is just another like subset of magic. It just has its own words and its own symbols and systems. So I don't know its language, but I feel that this water is not just what we think of as water, like coming out of the tap. This is the magical, energetic water that communicates with like the oceans and the water in other creatures around us, and it's all like linked.
Connected, right? Like water holds energy. So like the water that we drink holds the energy of whatever it's surrounded by. Exactly. It's that synchronistic flow,
Yeah.
So if you're drinking water straight from the beach, you're getting that energy of the beach, But if you're drinking water from a plastic bottle, like from tap, it's a different type of energy, and you can feel that, And it's just like water is just that natural element. It's that nature. And anything that is just connected to nature in essence is magical, because it's that I don't even know how to explain it, just that unseen ability of things to just have movement, to have soul to be connected to us.
So like growing your food, like you're doing, when you see something germinate out of seed, that's it.
Yeah, and some of these seeds are so small. It's like it's literally growing out of thin air. Or like a little piece of sand or dirt grows a huge tree. And when you think of it, all of these seeds hold that potential and that power if they're planted in the right space. I've learned so much.
But also that's also why it's so important what we put in our body, which is our magical temple, right? So that we're as close as we can be to the source of the food.
Right, exactly.
Eat local, support local.
Right, farmers markets, like the everyday people. A lot of the food that we eat, we don't even know where it comes from. It's not even grown in our neighborhoods or locally. It literally has to cross the border. It sits on a plane or a train or whatever it is, and it just sits there and sits there and sits there, and it's been coated with some form of chemical to maintain its desired look where, it doesn't rot naturally. So a lot of the food that we're eating has been so processed, even the fruits, and our bodies are where we are the magic. We're the complete magic, because that energy that is in everything is seen within us. We have the potential to tap into that. If we are aware of that. So what we eat and what we put into our body is the first and the most important step to true magic. Because if you aren't connected to that source, then it's harder for you to connect. And we have so many things that are coming against us to disconnect us from that source. So that's why it is so important to eat healthy.
And to be conscious and to just make a choice.
Exactly.
And say, this is who I am, this is what I stand for. I mean, just the idea, I had no idea until recently with the tariffs and whatever, how much food comes from China. Forget the fact that it's so, far, inconceivably far.
Right.
But also, those people don't want to be making this. This is not grown with love.
No.
Right? This is just kind of made out of despair or,
Right, or
worse.
A lot of it, I've seen lettuce that has been grown, on water just with a chemical drop, and that's from China. There's too many people, quote unquote, in China. So, the fact that China supplies the food for all of their people and then us as well, that says a lot about the quality of food that we're eating. On top of that.
Right, and corporate, I feel like corporate farming the same way as corporate, livestock, we should just all be boycotting it. Why are we that lazy? To me, the idea that we just walk into Publix and buy stuff that's pre-sealed in plastic and we feel okay with that?
Right.
It's insane.
It is. But we have to recognize that first, A lot of people don't realize what's really going on, or that everything that we're eating is coming out of plastic, and that disconnect from nature is making us disconnected to who we really are. A lot of people don't recognize that, and that's because, societally, that's not what we're supposed to be doing.
And you also you don't know who, we have no sense, way of knowing if it's not people who have been human trafficked or people who are not paid, who are, harvesting this food, prepping this food, getting it out there to be shipped to us. So whatever all that energy, I mean, it's imagine, how much suffering or pain we're ingesting by just like not making a conscious choice.
Decision,
Yeah.
And that's just with fruit. So imagine that energy with all of the animals. That's compounded even more, because it's just like you have so many animals in one space that are feeling the same way and are fearful. They literally let out a fearful, their fear takes over right before they're slaughtered. So that chemical goes into the food, and then we eat that, and then we wonder why we're depressed or why we're angry or why we feel this way. And it's literally an energetic transfer.
Yes, I agree. I mean, I feel like if you want to eat meat, that's great, power to you. Why don't you start by going out there and hunting it? Killing it and skinning it and dragging it and cutting it and preserving it and whatever else is needed, right? So you actually experience what it is that you're eating.
Yeah, or even if you're trying to move into a certain direction, trying your local farmer's market where that the people that own that chicken, killed it with respect to some extent because they probably raised it, And it's not saying that is the ultimate end all be all, but just as a means to evolve until you're at a point where you are at a space where you can be more mindful of what you put into your body.
True. Ooh.
This is stuff that I can.
Yeah, me too. I feel very strongly about it. But okay, so that's one way that one can practice, magic, right? And I feel, witchcraft in daily life, and it's the first opener. And then, we brought, I always open the podcast actually with some sage and some Palo santo, and, again, it's something very basic, everybody knows it, but it kind of cleans and
restores the energy,
gets rid of energetic toxins, again, what we were talking about. And on all of these things, you don't have to believe in them. It's not something that is exclusive of anything else. You just have to try it out and see how it feels. If it feels good to you, that's all there is to it. It just feels nice, it smells nice. It lifts your mood. So, and the same thing with crystals and wands, which if you have, you can charge them in the moonlight and get their energy back going. Candlelight, candlelight I feel also connects us with our, ancestors, mothers, long before electricity, and it's kind of a permanent daytime experience. So it's nice to have it around for that, I feel, and also, at night, with the lights off. Even if you have your phone on charging, it's cool to just be in the candlelight, and connect with the way things have been, before. And even for me when I write, I love to write.
It changes the mood.
It changes my understanding of words and language, And then you think that's how the Bible was written. That's how the Homer's epics were written. That's how most of our creative, mother and fathers wrote the works that shaped our culture in a sense. So going back in order to go forward. It's nice. There's no room, and then you can sweep. Sweep all the negativity out of your space, and sweeping is not just for girls. It's just good to sweep stuff, right? Yeah.
That's why you usually see cinnamon brooms
Yeah, which is nice. It's actually interesting that we, however thoughtlessly, have all the symbols in our lives this week.
Definitely. It's very intuitive. I feel energy, it controls and is a part of everything. And whether you recognize it or not, you're automatically drawn to it. You automatically, want it. You automatically go towards energetic things. You're looking for energy. You're energy they're energetic beings. So in a sense, magic and energy, it's all the same, and it rules everything. It rules this plane, whether we recognize it or not.
Yeah. And especially if you find yourself in like, if you're moody or if you get depressed or, if stuff within you is churning, right, and pulling you downward, looking at it from a place of energy instead of like, mental illness or mental unease,
that's so true.
right, is very helpful.
Very helpful. Very helpful.
Because I feel like a lot of us can turn that around by changing our lives rather than like self-medicating, which is like when in the 50s they gave all the housewives Valium. You medicate, the doctors medicate you or whatever, you self-medicate, but the result is this numbness, which just makes us compliant.
Very true.
And then we can speak our truth.
We can,
Exactly.
It blocks our natural chemical processes in production. So, when you eat or when you take a pill to get happy, you produce, serotonin, which a synthetic version of it, as opposed to producing your own. So now you depend on the pill to get happy, and you no longer have that magical process of producing it yourself to get to that point. And
I think it goes back to the idea of counseling when it comes to certain mental illnesses, and I know that the idea of creating a conscious, healthy, like mental health foundation for this country in particular is something that is swept away. Something that I think is coming back. Like for example, in New York City, surprisingly, everybody named Mama got a therapist, and it's so interesting because when you go there, everyone's talking about their therapist and how they got to go to therapy on Friday, and it's become something that's been very normalized. But it's something that has helped my friends literally transform their PSTD into something that's non-existent anymore. And it's the idea that you are transferring this energy, because all this is this negative energy in your mind that has been built up through all the experiences that have happened in your life. Not even through childhood. Exactly. Early life, adolescence, adult life, something that happened 2 years ago that you can't sit past, look past, and you need to be able to be put in a space where you're taking that energy out of yourself, by a practice and by a process that you are not understanding is this magical process of the transfer of energy that you're doing. But you need to be put in a space where you're doing that. You're transferring the energy. You're not using that pill to subdue whatever it is that you're feeling. Because once you go to a psychiatrist and you're just like, well, we don't really want to deal with this, which are the worst ones, or the ones that are really not doing their job, for a lot of different reasons. I know there's some things that like maybe you can't really get past, but if you think about it, like you said, as an energy instead of a mental illness, then you will feel like there is a solution, because you can always transfer energy, but you can't always fix somebody who got a mental problem. If you think about it in that particular mindset. So there has to be some type of idea that goes into how you're thinking of this built up energy for you to be able to believe that you can even release it, and then going ahead and doing that.
No, I feel that we've come a long way, especially in America. Still like the majority of the world, mental illness, if you want to call it that, or let's say mental uniqueness, is hidden, right? Shamed, demonized. So especially for women, who like have to be hidden away. But I would like to see us get to a place where we're no longer dependent on like therapists and coaches, because we can actually do it ourselves through practice of this kind, right? Because it's basically the same thing. What the therapist and the coach is doing is, we're paying them, or our insurance is paying them, to kind of keep us in place and speak and, find another way of phrasing our story. So instead of like a story of pain and suffering, it becomes a story of like discovery or, a heroic journey, which is exactly what the standing around of energy is. And that's something that, Wicca can do just as well. And many other practices, but I feel that's what, we're talking about. And then it's you.
And you have to use speaking in order to do it. I think that just in its most basic form, we don't talk.
Right.
So we don't talk to each other. We don't talk about our problems. We don't talk to people about our problems. We don't exactly. We don't so like when you are speaking, I feel like the only thing you should be speaking is truth. You know, and if you're not really speaking truth, then I guess you could call it speaking, but I don't know what that is. So you really, what you should be doing is releasing this authenticity, you know, because the only autonomy you're going to gain for yourself is if you speak it. So when it comes to that, basically, you can't do magic without speaking. Exactly. You know, you have to speak and you have to speak honestly, because if you speak some fake shit, it's not going to work. So whatever it is, it has to be honest, authentic, autonomous speaking in order for anything to happen, and that's the foundation of everything.
I mean, magic depends on the spells, which is the ultimate way of like speaking, you know, the old rhymes, the way that words are put together, right? And putting your complete like heart and faith and love into them when you know say them out to the universe. So And the other thing about magic is that it gives you permission to act on your desires, you know, as women. So you know, like even the fact like the cliche idea is like the whatever the old witch of the West, or like the Harry Potter, or like the Vampire Slayer, or I don't know Sabrina, or I don't know whatever those basic like cliches. But it's interesting that they all have permission. The Addams family, whoever they are, they all have permission to look unique, right? They don't have to look like Stepford Wives. They don't have to look like Victoria's Secret models. Mm-hmm. So that to me already like tells us that that's a space where we can be, original. We can look the way we want. We can ask for what we want. We can feel, permission and empowered to say, I want to, whatever it is, be wealthy, be successful, and that's part of the whole idea of magic. We get to do that. Yeah. So that's a rebellious, I feel like, in itself.
Sure. I feel like with magic and just speaking your truth in general, you're able to create your own reality. Mm-hmm. You're able to literally speak something and it manifests. So, as Iyanna was saying, I think one of the major things that we've been taught is to just hold things in, and that works against us because everything that we hold in, especially things that are negative, begin to play out in our reality around us, regardless of whether or not we're speaking it. And by not speaking and releasing the things that we don't want, we begin to manifest them because we're not just letting them out, and focusing on the things that we do want. So I definitely agree, like speaking and just also matching your intentions with your words is very important. Mm-hmm. And that's something that's hard with English because, for instance, with English, your intention can be to, understand something or to have full knowledge of it, but you'll say you understand it. Mm-hmm. And in that way, you don't fully understand it, even though you're saying that you do. So in that way, our words, we have to be very intentful with the words that we choose to use in magic, especially or when we're choosing to create our reality, because our own words, based on the languages that we know, could be what's holding us back.
Yeah. So, and I mean, that's partly what this podcast is about. Speaking sex is exactly about that. It's speaking what's uncomfortable or what we don't have place to speak about in our daily lives, especially in our public lives at all, right? So to me, it's all the same. It's like waking the sexualized woman in you, or waking like the honest, outspoken woman in you, or waking the witch, or it's just, that's like the way to go about finding wholeness.
Awakening your inner power, your inner goddess, inner being. Allowing yourself to tap into that frequency because you have access to it. So it's just waiting on you to access it. We're ultimately the ones in control. We have free will, and that is one of the main things that make us so magical. That ability to choose and decide what our reality or what our world will look like. So,
and the other thing too, I feel like to think about, being aware of is, why were so many of those women burned, killed, drowned, tortured. What was it about these like old ladies in the middle of the forest? I mean, usually they were like loners, outcasts, people, women who like look different, and redheads. I don't know. It varied. It really like there was no logic to it. It was, but the fact that they went so far as to have courts like in Salem, in America, in this country, and condemn teenage girls or grandmas to death by hanging for being witches, it's just inconceivable, and it does make you wonder what power did they have, or what were these like judges and magistrates and whatever priests worried about that would lead them to actually like to something so extreme and violent. I mean, these were not people like leading rebellions. These were not, this was not like a fundamental threat to any system. They were like individual, like solitary practitioners, most of them, right? Or women who had like stories to tell, or had learned from their, grandmas, the first in Salem, the original, let's say, witch, who actually managed to escape, but she started the whole craze. Her name was Tituba, and she was a domestic servant from the islands, from the Caribbean. So she came to this pastor's house, and it's like the endless winter, and she is entertaining the daughters and their cousins, because they have, it's Puritan America. They're not going out, they're not socializing. How are they going to spend these endless, winter nights? She's telling them stories. So it's those stories that gave them like dreams, and then they gave them like, they thought that they heard voices, and they thought that they were taken over by the spirits that Tituba talked about. And then they started naming witches, and the people got together and believed them and started killing the women they named. but my point is, this all started from like these young girls getting access to like the ancient wisdom, right? That had not been, that was still pretty pure, because it came from the island culture.
What do you happen to know which Caribbean country?
No, I don't remember. I mean, I can look it up. Yeah, we should find
know,
out.
I know specifically with Haiti, like a lot of the women were very magical and still had knowledge to ancient practices and teachings from Africa. And, magic was essentially used to start a revolution and make Haiti the first independent state.
Right, yeah.
And it was like the magic and the voodoo, which a lot of people are, get scared over, but really it's just another form of magic and using the earth and elements that led to, the first African country getting its independence, like the first slave country, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. And that right there shows how powerful it was, in the sense that a lot of the Haitian women, the slave owners put muzzles on the women in order to keep us from being able to speak. So I think it goes really, really deep. But there's a lot of power in that.
Yeah, she was from, by the way, Barbados. She was a slave. Mm-hmm. So the Samuel Perry's, in whose house this whole, witch craze began, he took her as a slave and brought her back to New England. Interesting. We don't know much about her life before, of course, but this is all because she was like the star witness, but she was a survivor, so she would just like do and say whatever they wanted. She was like, I don't know these people, I don't belong here, I have no rights here. They want me to point witches, fine. All those white ladies, I don't care. They want me to say I'm a witch, I am a witch. They want me to say I'm not a witch, whatever it is to survive. And she was in prison a long time, but she didn't die. She survived. So power to her. All my respect. Yeah. So Jade, you were working currently, right? For which get COVID.
Yeah.
Plus, you have such a beautiful audio voice.
Oh.
So, talk to us a little bit about, magic. Or something about it, yeah. Sex or magic.
Working for AO, which how funny is that, guys? Right? 'Cause I work there. Working for AO, I've only been there for a couple weeks, but it's been really dope because her way of thinking, same thing. Like, we have the power here, it's for us, it's from nature, so why not? If it's here, why are we not taking advantage of it? Like, why are we just gonna close our eyes to something that could be giving us our desires, you know? Especially when it's no harm to anybody. And especially having the right intention could be beneficial for everybody. In her way, she does it where it creates community. She teaches about it and shows how you can relate it in your daily life, same thing that we're talking about, where you can get that happiness that you want and the love or abundance and all that. Regardless, you don't need extra tools, but it's there for you, and this is how to do it if you want, you know?
Yeah.
So for me, since
Yes.
I've been there, I've been there from day one, me and her have had to talk about what is my goal and intention of being in this space. And I was really coming to just help her with her orders because she was bombarded. Before becoming a photographer, I've had so many logistics jobs, so I love doing stuff like that. Literally close my brain off and just work. But on top of that, she needs a photographer. So I was like, yo, I'm a 2-in-1. Can't say no to that.
Yeah.
So from there, we talked about the intention and the goal and what my goal is as a photographer and what I want. That way we can put it into what we have going on.
Combine it, right?
Yeah. And I told her my wishes and goals and all of that, and she makes conjured oils, and she gave me one to try, well actually two. One I haven't really tried that much, I tried a little bit, but I haven't been home. So the one I bring with me everywhere is called Magnetism, and this is an oil that while you are meditating or while you're starting your day or just anything, you're speaking the intention into it and rubbing it on you. So it's like a little roller. I rub it on my scalp, of course, now since I'm bald. Yes.
Throat chakra.
Literally everywhere, and speaking the intention into it. So like my hands, my head, on my phone, my wallet, my money, everything. And since then, it's only been a couple weeks, but life has been coming with abundance. So I'm just like, oh my God, I didn't expect this to come so fast. Wait.
No, it happens fast, you know.
Super
and the more you
fast.
put into it, as with everything,
Yes.
right? As with everything, but like particularly magic, it's not at all like you buy an oil, you put it on, and things are going to change. You know, you want to like what you're doing is you have the daily ritual, putting intention in it, into the oil as you wear it. Without that, nothing's going to happen.
And then moving towards it, not just, going on my couch hoping that it's going to work out.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Yeah. And, I feel that, a lot of people, have a sense of it as being like, curses or colds.
Oh my
or,
God,
all
literally
that
this
stuff.
dude, I was about to go to work one day and I was smoking with a friend, and this dude was like, oh, he didn't know, like, me and my friend, like, what we work, what we do and all that stuff, or just our daily life. And he was like, oh, there's this girl I met who practices voodoo, and once I found that out, I stopped going around her because I don't want to be cursed. And I'm like, what makes you think that you're even worthy of her putting her time to even do that?
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
did you?
Putting a hex is so
It's
time-consuming.
training, like
It's so much work, and also you have to do a lot of work to make sure that it doesn't come back to you.
Exactly.
Like tenfold. So it takes a lot of work, and you have to gather up all these ingredients that are hard to find, and you have to make a few trips to the cemetery and whatever. Do it at the same time.
That's a lot of work, a lot of energy for somebody to do something that you're nice to them. Like, how dare you?
Even like this, the smallest spell done properly takes like a week, because you have to always wash yourself a certain way, wash your environment a certain way. It's time consuming. It's not, like people think, it's not a quick fix. The same way with everything
It's
else that
spelled.
matters. Yeah,
And
it's
that's
spelled.
it.
I love that song. Yeah. I mean, if it was so simple, like I always say, if we could, we would put a hex on racism, sexism, like, the current president. Like, if it was that simple, right, this world would be very different. But it's not, and also every act has a consequence, has a react. So you have to like always be mindful of that, and have like a super light footprint. And be ready to cleanse in order to like not have your ego invested in any way. So yeah, there is a lot, but like imagine, if we had that power. I'd be changing a lot of stuff. Like, hey, wait, like trans people are so into magic, they would have hexed transphobia out of existence already. It's not that simple. Yeah, and it's like one person, and you have to know that person really well, and have access, and there's so much room for like
Error.
Let's call it, error or like misplaced magic. So, as much as I completely, encourage everyone to practice it, I don't encourage like people who like, hire a witch in, the town and say, okay, I want this guy or whatever, get me like the basic easy stuff, because you don't know exactly what you're going to get. You definitely will get something you don't expect as well. Even if you get, what you want, you're going to get something you don't want in addition.
Like, there are definitely universal laws at play.
Yeah.
With magic and with everything that we do.
Yeah.
So it's important to follow those laws even if you're not aware of them. And what you do, just the basic law of cause and effect, it comes back tenfold.
Yeah.
And I never recommend for people to do spells or anything that imposes on another person's free will.
Exactly.
Because then that really just reflects back onto you and on your own ability to do whatever gets affected.
And also, who the fuck wants a guy who you have like,
magic on
didn't? Yeah, exactly. It's like being with a robot, right? And then what happens? Like it doesn't last.
Yeah, it's just.
What?
What does that say?
Well, I don't really know the outcome of what happened, but I do feel like it was a common thing in Haitian culture. Because women want a man, and that's just like, your life is complete when you're white. So it's common to kind of like force that completion idea. So, and with so much voodoo magic in the mix, it's like, But,
Well, part of it is that like men are always out there cheating, especially in that type of culture, and women like can't go out and cheat back. So their power is basically like going to the garden and making magic to get him back to like the hearth and where he belongs. So like she doesn't even think that she's like trying to control him. She's trying to like save, let's say, whatever, the marriage, herself, and stuff. But in the process, you get a lot of like unexpected weird outcomes. It's real. And also, even if it works, I don't know if people know this, but like even if it works, you have to keep it up. Like it doesn't work. Let's say you do like an amazing ritual, an amazing spell, and you get the guy to like want you back or whatever, worship you, etc. Okay, that's good for like a week, like a month. You gotta keep doing this shit, or like he's gonna wake up. And that, you can't just kind of like rest and say, okay, it worked.
Okay.
Like let's say like he married me, and then like 2 months later he's like cheating.
Yeah,
It's a huge amount of commitment.
Back when I was in college, before I knew anything about nature or anything about just life in general, like before I knew anything, I remember getting like my first book that's like just had a bunch of random things that you can do to do different things. And at the time, this guy he had like broke up with me, and I was just like, what? How dare you? No, come back, And like I ended up like putting a picture of him in a cup, and I was like, come back. I like put it under my pillow or some stupid thing like that. And like within a week he was back, and I was just like, what are you doing here? Guess what's happening? You know? But like it didn't do anything, it didn't last, and I actually
just
wasted another week, and he actually was a complete jerk. So I'm glad that it.
Well, that's also another aspect of it, yeah. You know, that when you're like really in love, you don't know who it is you actually want.
Yeah.
You know, and you do so much work to get that person, and then you finally have this person, and you think, oh my God, I'm going to be complete, I'm going to be so happy. And then you like live together for a few months, and you're like, he's a chauvinist pig.
Yeah.
Now I'm stuck with him. Now I have to like do the opposite to get him off my life.
It's like you never know.
No, it's so true. So
She's
they're
the
all like,
first hand.
no, yeah.
There's nothing better than just genuine love. Like
Yeah.
for someone
Yeah.
to just truly love you, you know, as opposed to you having to like put magic on them for you to be there. Like it's not the same at all.
It's not the same at all. However, you know, speaking of like speak sex, like that's basically one of the most common ways that magic has been used. It's like, you know, whatever, Cleopatra, you know, did like the spell on Julius Caesar, or, you know, it's always like, you know, the woman who is the, you know, the witch and the temptress, and she can like lure the guy with her, whatever. Yeah, her like witchcraft, which is really, you know, no, it's like the hormones. It's the hormones he's after. But it feels like magic because, you know, when you're into someone, like you're not yourself. You can think properly, right? There is no like logic. You know, you clearly are led by something bigger than you or outside your control. So it's easy to call on that magic. But you know, I feel it's like the magic of nature.
Exactly. It's just like a natural magnetism.
Yeah.
You know, like when you're taking care of yourself, you feel good, you look good. It is really easy to like attract people and pull people into your energy and like to have people around you. Because people are naturally drawn to that. You know? So it's all about a vibe and like how you carry yourself.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're thinking about magic as that energy, then it is all the same, you know? Then it is technically magic at the end of the day.
Yeah, and that is ethical magic.
Yeah, it's ethical magic.
Right.
Yeah. Because it's free will.
Right,
Like you said,
exactly.
like it's not infringing on anyone else's free will.
Right.
So
Right.
then it just plays into what your choice is.
Yeah.
And if your choice is to be attracted by this that I'm not making you do, then it's
Exactly.
all free and open.
Yeah.
Like the pheromones that you share, the pheromones that you give off, if someone's attracted to that, it's not like you're putting a cup on them and bringing them to you. They just naturally are flowing into your own energy because that's the frequency they're on to be attracted to your frequency. So
Even what you said about having to take time to, I mean, a lot of effort to keep that person. If you aren't authentic, regardless if quote unquote magic or not, if you're putting up a front, you're going to have to continue the front. So regardless of how you see it,
You're right.
you're still doing it.
Yeah.
So don't.
Yeah. And that's like something we do too when we're not conscious. We all have done it. I mean, I've definitely done it, like more than once. And I don't even know, like half the time I don't know it, you know, because you're so like caught up in, it feels so good, right? But like, I mean, I actually had a relationship like for the entire, what do we call it, like courtship period? We don't use that word, but whatever that's called.
honeymoon period.
Yeah, every time that I was going
Oh,
to see him,
what?
I would be on something. Like I had to be on something. So how obvious is that? You know, it's not just like pretending that you are, you know, more fun or more outgoing or, you know, do more things than you actually do. But I actually had to like medicate to, you know, because it was so much, it was too much to me. So yeah, that's that, you know, but we do that and we're not even aware of it until, you know, we've done it enough times.
Yeah.
And then you're like, no.
Been there.
Yeah, right?
And that's exactly what you mean.
Yeah. Because you will please.
It just makes us happy to do that.
Yeah, it feels good.
It does. It's like an instant gratification, isn't it?
Yeah.
Until you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
When you finally wake up.
Yeah.
Where did I go?
I know.
Maybe they've been putting a spell on us.
What do you do?
How you said that? Oh, yeah.
I think they do. Well, that's the other thing that happens. You can put whatever you try to put on another person, at the same time, in some way, you put on you.
Or like when you shoot somebody, the gun
Right,
powder
exactly.
still.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, funny analogy. But
No, it's exactly
It's
what
true.
it is.
It's like it's that interconnectedness. You know, whatever you do to someone else just comes right back to you.
Right.
You know, it's
Right.
literally just a reflection.
Right.
So whatever you put out, you get back tenfold.
Right.
You know, and that's why usually they're like, treat people the way you want to be treated, because
Yeah.
that's the energy that's just gonna come back.
Exactly. Yeah. And what we were saying about love spells, love me, stay with me, be true to me, whatever, it's exactly, you cannot expect to put a spell on someone else that is not going to also be placed on you at the same time. So be sure, if you ever want to play with those things, right, that spell is what you want to be feeling and what you want to be doing and who you're going to want to be with, because you're not divorced from it. The idea that I'm going to punish this guy because I'm going to make him crazy for me and I won't give a shit about him, that shit is not real. It's not real. You cannot separate yourself from your actions, from your wishes, from your desires, and from whatever you ask the universe for. You ask the universe for it, that's what the universe understands. And when we say universe, whatever energies or whatever is out there, it's very simple. It doesn't have our complicated language skills and our hints and our nuances and our whatever, right? So it understands, the basic idea of it. That's what you want, in the big picture. None of the commas and the parentheses and, I want, no. So if you ask for something for someone else, that's all the universe understands about you. Yeah.
oh yeah.
All the way.
That's how I always tell people. Sorry. That's how I always tell people. You gotta move with intention. Because literally, that it's not really speaking about what you are, but kind of, sorta. When people how you say? Okay, sorry, backtrack. When Auset was talking about word spells, right? So, for me, I like to use magic in a sense of manifesting what I want my life to be and where I'm going. So, doing that, I'm not going to be saying, well, I don't know if I can do this. Well, it's not going to happen for me. Well, they're not going to give me the opportunity. But then I'm still saying that this is what I want. This is where I'm putting my magic towards. It's just canceling each other out.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, whatever it is you are doing, hopefully not to harm somebody, but if you're going to do it, you have to put both feet in and go in all the way.
I think, so earlier when I was saying that, if you're going to speak honestly, I think that if you're trying to change the way that you feel and what you believe, like what Jade just said, if you don't believe that some things might be happening for you, or you think that some things might not be if you want to think in a certain way because you're saying you want certain things, but sometimes people say certain things and then think another way. And even if you're not saying it out loud, I once saw this meme that I like to tell people all the time now, whatever your thoughts are your words. You're just not saying it out loud, but it doesn't mean that the universe doesn't hear you. So whatever you're thinking, you have to say, whatever you're thinking is going to be what your life reflects. So whatever you say, even if it's different from what you're thinking, then your life is going to really reflect what you think more strongly. And I feel like when it comes to our thoughts, sometimes those have more of the intention because we don't think anyone hears them. So they're always going to be the more true one. And if you want to change the way that your life is moving, then you're going to have to think in ways that are different from how you're used to. There's this one woman who I knew who was talking about the type of person that she wants to be with, or the type of people that find her attractive, and how it's incongruent. And she was saying how no one's really going to find me attractive because of this or that. And we, me and a couple other women were telling her girl, you gotta say it to yourself, say it to yourself. She was like, yeah, but the thought that you have in your head is what's really playing out, which is why your reality is this. This is why you're telling us it's because your reality is this. But if you say it in your mind, regardless if people don't believe it or not, that's going to be what the most value of attention is going to go, because you don't think anyone's listening to those thoughts, but they are. So if you change your thoughts, you can change the way that your life is, and you can move in a way where it's going to transform what your reality is, even if you don't truly believe there are all things it is that you're thinking, because those thoughts that you had before are already thoughts that are going to be just removed from your life. So you're going to have to change something, you know, and it's going to move into the truth that's the more you say it.
Because you become more holistic, you know, so it makes you happier, like you don't have that conflict, you know, if you're actually thinking the things that are positive for you, I feel that's like self-love, right? And so it just makes you happier by definition. Whereas, you know, like kind of like inside you, if you're being whatever, you know, angry, competitive, you know, controlling, you know, constricted in some way, and then pretend something else, that's like work. Speaking of, you know, that you make your psyche like work double or triple hard, which is exhausting psychically. So and again, it's like not worth it. You know, if you take a moment and think like, why am I doing this? Like, what are the rewards? You know, what are the perks? That's always, I feel like a very useful thing. You know, to take a moment and just kind of like look at what you're gaining from whatever you're doing. You know, the people you're with, your lover, you know, your work, your dreams, your aspirations, your jobs, right? And sometimes, like when you look at it without blinders, you realize that the reward is not worth the effort. It's just not. Yeah, so like I feel that's like my view of lying, you know, to oneself as well as others, that it's just not worth the effort, and you know the peace, and therefore power, because peace is power. That's a given. You know, the peace that comes from like being honest with yourself and everybody else is like such a greater reward than like whatever little, I don't know, perks.
Just like hiding.
Yeah.
I agree. And I think that just comes back to speaking your truth and using your throat chakra to be honest with those around you, but first and foremost, be honest with yourself. Because if you don't know what you want, then you won't be able to tell those around you what you want. You won't be able to communicate that. So I think that is definitely very important, especially in society where our voice has been suppressed for so long. Really just actively opening and using your voice is really important.
Right. And we were taught, you know, I don't know about you, like my mom, you know, told me like, don't trust people, don't tell the truth, you know, do not humiliate yourself, you're always embarrassing me, you know, like 3 or 4. And it's like, you know, no, you know, like this is not good manners, or a lady doesn't do this, or, you know, don't raise your voice, don't put your elbows on the table, you know, like walk with a book on your head, so you walk a certain. Everything was like for show.
Yeah, like,
you know, it's like you're trained like a goddamn like racehorse or something. Right, and whoever you are is lost. They start so young. They start you off like super young.
Yeah.
You like wear the little frilly clothes and, you know, walk a certain way with your little whatever doll-like purse. I mean, it's insane how young they started. That's like, yeah. This programming, which was like false identity.
Right.
Yeah, and like just shut up, keep your quiet, you know, like shut. Do not say anything. Be quiet. That's what my mom ever told me. You know, you can't trust people. Be quiet.
Yeah.
This is like what I got.
I know, it's
Wow.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's pretty relatable.
Yeah.
We don't even think about it. It's like, oh wow. Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then like that, those things will happen, you know, when we're 3 and when we're really young, just trying to take on programs and learn how to be in this world. And then, you know, when we're older, we wonder why we're not able to talk or effectively communicate or speak our truth or, you know, let people know how we're feeling. And it's because when we were children or when we were young adults, we were told that what we have to say doesn't matter or not to speak. And it really just takes breaking through that programming and unlearning to relearn something that is more beneficial for you. really comes into play.
Right. And it all comes from thinking for yourself.
Yeah, definitely knowing how to think outside the box. Like we're as a society, we're given a box and we're told to think in that box, and we're told not to question authority and not to ask questions, and not to be your own person based on just thinking how other people will feel. But once you learn to do what you want, regardless of what anyone's going to say, you really give yourself the freedom to be who you are, because you're yourself unapologetically, and you're true to yourself.
Right. And then you find out, shockingly, no one is punishing you. With the way they present it, it's like the world's gonna come to an end, you're gonna be friendless, homeless, I don't know. Yeah. It's like, wait, what, so when you first, for me, it took leaving my entire continent, my culture, my language. I had to be somewhere where no one would know my name, my family, my parents. They were so far away, right? And even my books, that when I wrote my books, my first book was the story of a vagina. And the C word was in every sentence. Speaking of rebellion, it was an exorcism, why am I not supposed to say this? Let me try. But my point is, I didn't agree to have it translated into my native Greek. I still haven't. And none of my books have been translated in my language, or my parents pass, maybe. So even now, when my entire career has been about speaking truth, in a sense, speaking truth and speaking sex, I'm mindful of their limitations, and I don't want to shock them or have their friends go up and I don't want them all to discuss in their vernacular, in their 80s or 70s, and what all I'm doing. I know. It's not their fault. They were raised this way. It's really no one person's fault. But I feel we can each make a choice for ourselves, and then if we have children, right, pass it on to our children, and that's how we change the world.
Blessed is the family that allows their child to be free.
Amen.
And doesn't put on those restrictions. I think if anything, it's a buildup of trauma and anxiety. Like we just said, there's no real punishments out there. They're not going to throw anything at us. Be free. But it's just the programming that they went through and what they think is needed to be accepted in the work field or just society. I think so often they just put their children in a box because they think they're supposed to live the mundane and fit in.
Right.
So it's just freedom of thinking and having that free spirit and free space to allow yourself and others to do the same. So I can attest to my mom being a free spirit. She did definitely have those traditional, because she's also from Haiti, traditional things, that she tries to implement to me. But I think overall she promotes, the freedom in my choices and just living my best life. So at the end of the day, that's what it's about. We're in this vessel for a reason to just live out what we consider is best, for ourselves.
Yes, something. Yes to that. I think sometimes we also forget. It's not that our parents are trying to make us not feel free or feel liberated. They just want us to be safe. They don't want anyone to do harm, knowing that a lot of things that could make us different are things that people get ridiculed for. So it's just keeping you safe from how, like we said, how they were taught and how they made it up until this point. They don't realize the harm in it, obviously, because their intention isn't that, but it's different ways to go about it.
Yeah, for sure.
That's honestly like it was this time now, because it wasn't always this.
I think we're living in a privileged time to do
definitely.
Sure. Especially as women.
We're living in a completely new age, or
it's
completely different world. There's a shift, an energetic shift that's happening.
It's the queer age.
Exactly. So truth and the veil of deception. The veil of deception has been removed, and we have access to the knowledge, and it really just takes us seeking it now. We're allowing it to come to us.
but I mean, yes, to honor like our mothers, and they came from oppressed societies. They had gone through a lot. They've been subjugated, they've gone hungry. So it's like they learn this one thing. Keep your head down and don't. Yeah, and keep going. Yeah, like survival. You're lucky you survived, and don't ask for
Find the little things that you like here and there that make you happy, and keep moving.
Yeah.
No
No
more.
more. Yeah. Thank you, but no more.
Thank you for doing this far. We'll take it from here.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, like they're killing the planet, so hey.
Might as well let us do our thing.
Might as well go on with a bang, with truth and magic. Yeah, exactly.
And I think now our parents learn from us.
Yes.
It's kind of like that switch in which we're able to do things a certain way, and they see us, be successful with that, and like all the things that they might have told us, don't do.
They were like terrified.
Of us doing, like you going out and being a creative and living on your own and starting your own non-traditional life, that probably was very like scary for our parents at one point.
It still is.
Someone to show them.
Yeah.
So we're literally there to be like, the water's okay, the water is clear.
Exactly.
Come. Come with us.
Come with us.
They're like, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
No, well, you did it. Okay.
I feel like it inspires them in a lot of ways, and I think that's very beautiful too.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like in my case, my mom and her mom, like my mom, all the neighbors would come every morning after that would work, never in his presence. And like she'd bring the coffee grinds, everybody's like morning cup, coffee cup, and they would leave while she's like, cooking, doing the dishes, like she didn't even think about it. I mean, she was like a Christian, and she like sang in church, and her father was the priest, and she didn't think about it. But she had that knowledge from her grandma, who was like the village herbalist and did like, cured everyone. And I would call her the village witch, But at the time, she like was the midwife and the healer in town. But she had like blessings for everything, little writings, that she would read to people when they needed rain, or so to me, that's like a witch. But you couldn't call her that because that would be so scary. She's a good Christian woman, she's like married to the butcher. That's what I'm saying. Like those ancient traditions passed down, kind of like quietly in silence, unspoken. At the same time, that like the very obvious traditions of like going to church, and like marrying who your father wants you to marry, and like following the tropes were passed on as well. So, if we dig enough in all that shit that they taught us, deep down, there's also like the good stuff, like the magic powers. It just, we gotta look for it.
Yeah, and oftentimes it's not even called magic, but
no,
it's
not way.
For safety too. For safety back in the day. So
exactly. But even magic can be found in the church. A rosary is literally just crystals and pearls or whatever the case it may be.
Like the Holy Communion.
Songs.
The Holy Communion.
Prayers, like all of that chanting.
That's
Going on your knees, asking for forgiveness and being grateful. The offerings.
I think the major difference is just like with religion, the power is taken from you and placed into like a holy figure. And then
a male holy figure.
For the most part. Whereas in spirituality, you have that power because you're able to access it by being
right. Exactly. But like the Holy Communion, that's the ultimate magic. Like other than giving birth, this thing where the translocarification, where like the wine and the bread or the wafer become the blood and body of Christ. Every week, just because like the priest says the magical words and prays the magical, psalms and whatever. It depends on like your specific type of Christianity. But I mean, that's like magic, hardcore magic, like really ancient stuff.
Like even the outfits that they wear, like we take it from both,
That's
like a magical ancient like Kemetic or ancient Egyptian outfit, which like that's ritual.
Oh yeah.
It's all right in our face. The
They just don't want
and
anybody
then
else to do it.
embroidery and the gold.
So hey,
Right.
you
Yeah.
bitch, don't do it. We're doing, you're
Yeah.
doing it bad.
Yeah,
Done.
they took like they took the women's, magic work, and then they made it into their authoritative version of it.
That's why I wear dresses.
And they were exactly, and it's like, hey, how come they get to wear these gorgeous dresses and like the average guy in the street doesn't? What?
Yeah, it gets really deep,
Yeah. If you think about it, which is like, thinking about for yourself, like you can go deep in these like little questions.
It's like a rabbit hole of just like, wow, what am I getting into? Like, what's really going on here?
Yeah.
But don't question it.
Yeah, don't
'Cause that's
question
just
it.
Okay, sweet. Anything else we talk about?
That was a great conversation.
I know. Wise woman talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did want to bring in the serpent. The new collection that I'm working on, it follows with serpent energy a lot. And when I first was called to look into it, it reminds me of what you were talking about in the beginning of our conversation, in which the snake in itself is seen as like a scary symbol, and it's very like mixed in with the story of Adam and Eve, where it's like the serpent was what led them, to damnation, or it was that serpent energy that is just this negative force, snakes in your garden, that whole metaphor. But I just want to say that by looking beyond that, looking past that, and doing my own research, I realized that the serpent energy, there's a lot of power to that. It talks a lot about that rebirth cycle of life and death, and just regeneration and renewal. And it also was a symbol of power and of protection, and of royalty in ancient Kemet or ancient Egypt. And it also talks about the kundalini, like the rising of the snake up the base of the spine, and how that's our path to ultimate enlightenment and really just reaching that level of consciousness. So I think that the idea of the snake, we have to let go that it's just this negative force or this bad thing, because that serpent energy really, when you think of it in the sense of the kundalini especially, it leads to our freedom, in which it coils up our spine and goes straight to that crown to release us, to ultimately open our minds. So I just wanted to tie that back.
Yeah. That's exactly the kundalini.
Which will be featured in our Sarcasm
Yes,
collection.
We need 2 pieces of visionary.
Limited. Exclusive.
Sweet. Okay. Well, thank you, ladies. Thank you, Iyanna.
Catch us in December. Thank you.
Gianna, Dina. Yeah, it was awesome. It's always awesome. You have to come back again for our
Of course.
Big Sex special.
Hopefully when, our 5th member is here.
That'll be
Because she always has a lot to say.
Yeah.
I know she would love to put her
Yeah,
2 cents,
Yeah, she would.
which would be dope. But yeah.
Thank you for listening. And until we meet again, speak sex.
Yeah.
Woo!